It's 912, Big 550 KTRS. Steve Stenger is a St. Louis County executive, and he's a county council member, and he wants to be your county executive. Good morning, Steve Stenger.
Good morning, McGraw. Thanks for having me.
Let's first talk about this story. That in the last 10 years, the St. Louis County has euthanized 50,000 dogs and cats. What does that mean? Explain that to me.
Well, and the number that you cite is a hard number. That's a number from this administration, from the Charlie Dooley administration.
Right.
50,000 cats and dogs euthanized. And that's outside of the 400 or so cats and dogs that make their way to the shelter, that are voluntarily brought to the shelter to be put to sleep for illnesses and things like that their owners would voluntarily bring them.
So these are after the dogs and the cats that would be put down for all sorts of behavioral reasons, or too old, or whatever else, too sick.
Absolutely. And those number are about 400 per year.
So these are 50,000 dogs and cats that, for no other reason than they were fine, healthy, they were not angry dogs or mean dogs. They were just put down because there was nothing left to do with them.
That's right. And McGraw, it really amounts to just sheer mismanagement. It's a sheer lack of oversight by the county executive on his department, the county health department.
Put into numbers, how many dogs are euthanized in the city or in towns or communities the same size as St. Louis County?
Well, in the city, they've done what I'm suggesting we should do in the county. They've partnered with a not-for-profit group that actually cares about the animals and doesn't want to see the animals put down unless it's absolutely necessary, and that's stray rescue. And that's what I'm proposing we do. And we have a $4.5 million facility in St. Louis County that's fully capable of doing that. It's actually called the Adoption Center. And as you can see, there aren't many adoptions that are taking place. It's actually, in 2013, it was close to 60% of the animals that made their way to the shelter were killed needlessly.
This is a new shelter, is it not?
Just about brand new. And even after the shelter was built, it was suggested by the county executive that there would be a reduction in this kill rate. And as we can see from the numbers, that just didn't happen. They're actually up.
How come the county hasn't partnered with Stray Rescue?
I think it's a matter of mismanagement, McGraw. I really do, because it's not a difficult thing to do. My plan that I'm proposing is a plan that would cost taxpayers no additional money, because we would actually partner with the not-for-profit groups. And if you partner with the not-for-profit groups, they're very happy to take on the burden. They're very happy to ensure that the dogs get adopted. And when you're not euthanizing animals, which cost a great deal of money on a per dog basis or a per cat basis, when you're not euthanizing them, you're not taking personnel to euthanize them, you're not spending the money to euthanize them, and you're relying on the not-for-profit to actually, adopt the animals out, which is what should be done.
50,000 dogs and cats.
That's enough to fill up Busch Stadium, basically.
Is it? You would have to find homes for 50,000 dogs and cats. Is there a market for are there enough homes out there who want dogs and cats?
Oh, certainly. And that's over 10 years. What we're talking about is approximately 8,000 to 10,000 cats and dogs make their way to the shelter every year. And what happens is, as the years go on and as you implement a program such as this one, you're also at the same time promoting your spay and neutering program. So there are fewer animals that wind up making their way to the shelter.
There's no question that we know through the education that Randy Grimm has done in the city that the city has a stray dog problem.
They do.
How bad is the stray dog problem in the county?
We really haven't seen what the city has seen with respect to stray dogs. What we've seen is the problem that we have, where we have 50,000 animals that have been killed over 10 years.
But I guess the question is, if they weren't euthanized, would you have as big of a stray dog problem in the county as you do in the city?
I wouldn't think so, McGraw. I think in the city, what we're talking about in the city is there's particular areas of the city where these animals are basically sort of roaming out there, mating, and it's a multiplier effect. Yeah. And we just don't have that in the county.
Steve Stenger is our guest. He is running for St. Louis County Executive. The primary is when, in August?
August 5th, yes.
August
Democratic
5th.
Primary.
You have been a county council member for how long?
It's about 6 years.
About 6 years. Why haven't you tackled this issue before?
McGraw, no one would have thought that we had this problem. This was something that we came across in our review. I should say I came across in my review of county government. I had heard some rumors from some animal activists that the kill rate in St. Louis County was high. And I made the appropriate requests of the county and of the Department of Agriculture, and I came across these numbers. I think that we've learned on the county council now to not assume that the county executive is keeping a watchful eye. And I'm actually going through department by department, and as I've come across things like this, I'm going to bring them out to the public.
Again, Kelly Jackson and I were talking this morning. 50,000 is a big number, but it's not – there's nothing to compare it to. How many dogs and cats were the city euthanizing? How many dogs and cats was Denver euthanizing or New York City? Is there any comparison as to how big of a number that is?
Well, what I think you compare it to is a situation where you take a large city, and there are cities around the country that have done this, and they convert their shelter to a no-kill shelter, which means they're going to partner with the groups that are necessary so that animals are only euthanized when necessary. And when you compare it with those numbers, which could be a few thousand over a 10-year period, it's a huge number. 50,000 is a huge number, and I think it just strikes, it strikes all of us as just a big number. 5,000 animals per year. Yeah, it's just too many.
A couple other things while we have you here, Steve Stenger. First, let's talk about the Bridgeton landfill. They've canceled the baseball games. They're now hearing reports that there are some nuclear radiation readings on this baseball field. What are your thoughts? What can be done?
Well, I'll tell you, I came on your show maybe 4 months ago, and I said at that time what a serious problem it was, and I know you've talked about it a lot since then and during that time period. It is such a serious problem that something needs to be done immediately. We passed a resolution on the council to have the federal government come in and take over. We need an entity that has the resources to take care of this problem, that can take care of the problem and to do it.
Where do the residents of Bridgeton go? It sounds the county can't do it, the state can't do it, the feds aren't doing it, while the landfill burns, smolders, and nuclear waste sits and now is, from what we can assume, airborne. I mean, it seems like every governmental entity says we need to do something, but no one's doing anything.
Yeah, and from the county perspective, as a county council person, I think the best thing that I can do is bring public attention to it everywhere I go, which is what I've done. I've attended the meetings. We've, as a group, we've written legislators. We focused on the federal legislators, and we need an entity that's big enough to do what needs to be done, and that's the federal government.
Are you calling for them to move it? Do you want them to entomb it? What would you want?
I'll tell
to happen?
you, I'm not the expert here. I mean, what I think we need to do is have the appropriate federal agency, which so far most people have agreed that it's the Corps, to come in and make their recommendations and take care of the problem.
It's a subject that we have talked about with almost every elected official that has come through here. We just had Jason Grellner on, Franklin County Sheriff's Department, on the show, and he's told a story this week in Fenton at Gravois Bluffs, which is in St. Louis County. The two Walgreens there have decided to stop selling cold medicine containing pseudoephedrine. And because of that, the Walmart at Gravois Bluffs is now the only place that sells cold medicine that has pseudoephedrine in it. And that Jason Grellner reaffirmed this story earlier this week, that when the truck that drops off the cold medicine with pseudoephedrine arrives, the meth cooks and the meth addicts all call each other, and there is a line out the door at Walmart for the cold medicine containing pseudoephedrine. Would you be in favor of banning over-the-counter sales of cold medicine containing pseudoephedrine?
Banning it completely?
Banning over-the-counter sales, having it prescription only, like they've done in Franklin County, like they've done in St. Charles County, like they've done in, I want to say, Wildwood, and some communities in St. Louis County have done it. Would you be in favor of a county-wide ban, having it only prescription only?
I'll tell you what, I'd like to take a look at the issue, and I can get back to you on it. I'd really want to think about that, because I know that there are a lot of individuals who use that cold, who use the cold medication in a, in the appropriate manner. I'd like to think about that, and I'll get back with you.
I will tell you that the state of Mississippi, that liberal bastion state of Mississippi, has banned over-the-counter sales of cold medicine. Arkansas, a border state of Arkansas, will not sell cold medicine to anyone who lives in the state of Missouri. They will ask for ID, and if you have a driver's license that says you're from Missouri, they will not sell it to you. But to have a line of meth addicts lined up at a Walmart, you would agree is a problem.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
You would agree that walking into a Walgreens and being tapped on the shoulder by a meth head asking you to buy cold medicine for them is a problem.
Oh, absolutely. Sure.
Okay. How's the campaign going?
It's going really well. Things are going very well.
You have come out recently. The unions have supported you, right?
Yes. St. Louis Labor Council.
Bob McCullough has supported you?
Yes, he has, yes.
And Charlie Dooley has been quite a number of stories. You have offered to debate him. You have requested a debate. Where's that story going?
I, several weeks ago, requested a debate, and the county executive has yet to accept my challenge. It appears he doesn't want to talk about the issues, that are facing St. Louis County and that St. Louis County faces.
Would you come on this show and debate County Executive Charlie Dooley?
I would do that immediately. Yes.
Immediately?
Yes.
So I can send a request to him that say you will make yourself available anywhere, anytime, anyplace.
Please do, yes.
In the 15 years I've been doing a show in St. Louis, Charlie Dooley has never come on my show.
Really? I enjoy being on your show quite a bit. I'd be happy to debate Charlie Dooley on your show.
Well, can you call him and tell him that?
Well, we did. We have contacted the county executive, and we've got a lot of issues that we need to talk about in St. Louis County. We've got federal FBI investigation of the county. We've got $30 million cost overruns. We've got some issues that we need to talk about.
There's been a laundry list of things that have given the county a black eye, whether it's the police crime lab, the latest thing in this zoo museum board. David Hahn has a story in the paper today that the zoo museum knew of the conflict of interest when this Pat Whitaker sat on the board. What can you do? I mean, what is Charlie Dooley's faults? What are his responsibilities? If he nominates somebody to a board, is he responsible for them breaking the law and or not doing things right? And or is it Charlie Dooley's fault that the people in charge of the dog pound are executing these dogs? I mean, where does, I understand he's the county executive, but how much fault relies on his shoulders?
Well, he's the county executive. He's the head of county government. So everything, the buck stops with Charlie Dooley. I mean, that's how it works in county government. He is the person who's held accountable. If he allows that, he's the person held accountable. He's certainly held accountable every 4 years by a vote of the people. I can tell you that in the situation of the county police commissioner who received a contract from essentially the county executive for the St. Louis County Crime Lab for about $4.5 million. That was a situation where Charlie Dooley was right in the mix of that and was absolutely responsible for that. And that's, of course, the contract that we now have an FBI investigation that's ongoing.
Is the police board, that still doesn't have enough people on it, right?
It does now.
It does now.
There's a full board impaneled now.
What's the story of the Children's Fund that didn't have enough people on the board? The organization that hands out tax money for charities that didn't have enough people to actually hand out the money for the charities.
Well, and that's been another board where I think the county executive has failed to have the appropriate oversight, and that's a board that's extremely important. I mean, I think there's probably no one in the county that would disagree that that's an absolute top priority.
Yeah,
and it's been the subject of a great deal of mismanagement.
That's been underreported, and I don't think people know that enough. It was a tax that the voters voted to tax themselves to raise money to give to children's charities.
Yes, absolutely.
And there's a board that decides where the money should go.
Yes.
That board hasn't had enough people on it to...
Well, and in that case, it's been a situation where the board members, there simply haven't been enough board members attending to even reach a quorum in some circumstances.
So they can't even give out the money.
In some cases, yes.
That the county voted to tax themselves to give to charitable organizations.
That's right, and that's under the watch of the county executive.
And great charities are running out of money.
Absolutely.
Because the money's there, it's just not being appropriated correctly.
There are children in need all over the county, And as a result of the mismanagement that we've seen over the last 10 years, there are children who are not getting what they need and that which taxpayers have already provided them.
Steve Stenger wants to be your county executive. All right, so the offer is made. Charlie Dooley, we'll reach out to him to see if we can get you and him to sit down for a conversation. When you've asked him for this debate, has there been any response from his people?
Just complete avoidance. That's really been the response.
Yeah.
Just complete avoidance. He does not want to debate, particularly me.
All right. Well, I don't feel so bad because he avoids me, so I thought it was me. Maybe it's just us, or maybe it's just Charlie Dooley.
It could be.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Stenger here on the Big 550 KTR. Steve, thanks for checking in.
Thanks for having me.
927 here, Big 550 KTR.